I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, April the 11th, brought to you in part by Livestock Risk Services. They're your LRP specialists there. Going to give you a rundown of all their updated agents here. Dakota Moss, of course, headquarters out of Oklahoma National Stockyards Exchange building there. Steve Anderson, and he could tell you how to market those cattle. He's also with Ozarks Regional Stockyard Video there. Steve Boyce, John Rich, Cameron Floyd, Jessica Hardy, Aaron Coffey, Rachel Cunningham, Jake Gross-Nicholas, and Colby Cunningham. So any of those agents there, they can help you wherever you're at if you're interested in LRPs, guys. And we've noticed recently with this board selling off and things, everybody's talking about how high the premiums are. Well, it's nothing whenever the feeder board goes down $5 in a day. So, you know, you need to get some protection there. This market is still really top heavy. I would encourage people that's got cattle turned out this summer to get some protection there. Enjoy your summer, guys. This cattle still ought to be making some money. Bird flu in New York City. Since the bird flu, flew up again and started all this here in the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've had a lot of concentration about the bird flu. Of course, your funds and your bearish people that wanting to trade the futures market have used it to take a hunk off of our cattle board, but now it's just everywhere. On Wednesday, they found bird flu in a New York City public park. And these nasty ass birds are just infecting everything. And I don't think that our board being lower on Wednesday on the cattle pits there was really so much to do with the bird flu. We've got a lot of other things that the bird flu, besides the bird flu, that could have caused that. The stock market was down big because of Magoo-nomics is not working, and the inflation is still high and showed to be higher again, as we all know that when we go to buy something, that our dollar just doesn't go very far anymore. But you know, there's a lot of things working against the cattle market. We lost our mojo, I said on our last visit there. Yeah, you know, it kind of works in just like a football game does. Everybody, you know, it's going one way, and then you lose it, and then we can't seem to get it back. But the bird flu, you know, it's not the cows, it's the birds that have this stuff. So who's to say that the guy that got infected, the worker there, that most people said drank the unpasteurized milk, who's to say he didn't catch it from the birds? I don't know if anybody's really checked into that or not, but there's a lot of news about bird flu. 17 states are now restricting cattle movement into their state. They're not banning it, but they just want to know about it. And so, you know, it's starting to affect marketing and affect, you know, the freight on these cattle a little bit. But, you know, our board was down big on Wednesday. And now we see a big basis both on feeder cattle and live cattle with your cash compared to what your board is. Feeder cattle right now, we've got a $7 basis compared to what your CME feeder cattle index is compared to your spot April feeder cattle. That will close in the next 2 weeks or so, guys. And I don't know whether your April feeder cattle are going to come up or your index is going to go down to meet it. I'm not sure. There's not going to be a lot of feeder weight cattle selling. So the buyers that are wanting to fill some orders, they may be still after them. It'll probably converge there somewhere in the middle, but you know, that's got to come together here. Live cattle basis is $6 compared to last week's weighted average around 185, and your April live cattle spot board just over 179. Now we don't know if that will come together. We're wanting to get to where we can demand delivery for the longs. If the longs could demand delivery. You think some of these packers, and maybe even some of your regional packers, you think they wouldn't like to barrel into some of those cattle at 179? Yeah, the market's probably going to be lower this week. We've seen just a very, very few weak sisters puking cattle lower. Boy, your packers can't wait to get that information sent into mandatory price reporting so they can advertise it for them. But I guarantee you packers would love to buy cattle, just average fat cattle at 179, but they can't demand delivery. If you can tender for delivery and you can force longs to take delivery, why can't they demand delivery? So I don't know, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me why we can't get that evened up on both sides. But we'll see what happens. They're going to have a CFTC meeting here next week, and I'm hoping President of U.S. Cattlemen's Association Justin Tupper brings that up and sees what the response is and demands an answer on why we can't level this thing out a little bit and do something for the longs to entice somebody. As an industry, we're all on the short side. Everybody's on the short side. So we need to give something to the longs to entice a few of them to come in there and support that board a little bit. But the things that are also pressuring the market, carcass weights are going up, and seasonally carcass weights don't go up this time of year. So you know, we're working with calves, and they're just usually smaller. But the way that the packers have backed off on the slaughter, cattle got more time on feed, more days on feed. Their carcasses are getting bigger and tied to the seasonal trend. So that's something that's bearish there. That you know, we've just got things working against us here as we're starting. You know, our feedlots are full. We're going to find that out here pretty quick on our cattle on feed report. I wish that the government didn't have the money to do a cattle on feed report every month. They could save that money and still do the mid-year inventory report, as far as I'm concerned. But you know, feedlots are fairly full, and most of your orders to turn out cattle have already been filled. They're going to be turning cattle out here this weekend, guys. Out in the Flint Hills, they've got those pastures burned off. And in the Osage, April 15th is turnout day. It's always fun when you're driving through that part of the country and you just see an unloading chute there with no facilities. They just turn those cattle out and just let them go, and it's always fun to watch the cattle when they get to the bottom of the chute and they look around. They're like, really? This is all mine? You're not going to run me through the chute again? You're not going to hammer me around? I get to stay out here and graze? They wish it was longer, but it's only for 90 days, guys. But that's costing the renters that are turning those cattle out to pay more too, because everybody thinks they're getting rich because the cattle market's up. But let's talk about your Punchy Pick of the Month contest, guys. We've been having lots of fun with that. We're going to award another Punchy Pick winner, the last feeder flash of this month, and they will get the grand prize, which includes some really cool stuff from Beaver Feed Company in Beaver, Oklahoma. Beaver County Stockyards got a bunch of neat caps and sweatshirts and this and that. Fairpiece is going to send some swag, and then they're going to send a whole case of that Fairpiece product, the revolutionary product that's scientifically proven. If I can remember, I'm going to stick a testimonial video on the end of this feeder flash, but sometimes I forget. Let's talk about your board for Wednesday. April live cattle futures down $1.62 at 179.07. June was down $2 even at 172.85. Your back months were down $1.15 to $1.90. April feeder cattle down $2.42 at 238.27. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index is 245.49. May feeder cattle futures down $2.92 at 236.52. And your back months on feeder cattle down $2.50 to down $3.02. May corn up 3/4 cent at $4.35 a bushel. Beans for May up a penny at 11.65 3/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for May down 1 3/4 cent at 5.92 3/4. Fat cattle trade, we still have not seen any significant trade in your 5-area feeding region on a negotiated basis. Packers are going to continue to try to use this black swan and of course the board to try to hold these feedlots up and make them take less money. They're likely going to take less money. We've seen just a couple of deals selling cattle well off the market, not even going to advertise them, weren't big enough to make a difference, but you know, they're wanting to get the fat cattle market on a live basis down in the low 180s for choice and prime fat cattle. Slaughter cows all over the country and sale barns are bringing up to $150 and a little bit over there. Bulls are bringing $2 a pound in a lot of places, close to that in most places, but you know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota had a fat cattle auction on there, had a pretty decent run. Choice steers were $1 to $4 lower. Your conventional fat cattle sold $182 to $187 and a quarter. Program, non-implanted or drug-free cattle and Worthing, South Dakota sell from $187 and a quarter to $193 and a quarter. We won't get anything close to that on a direct basis negotiated, but we should. Box beef cutout values were sharply lower. We saw them come up early this week and then they dropped right back down. Choice cuts down $386 at $298.23. Selects down $388 at $296.02. Talk about the King Ranch has bought 50% interest in Cobalt cattle, which Cobalt is the 4th biggest corporate cattle feeder there. Kind of interesting to see King Ranch come in and buy that, but whatever that is, I'm just glad it's not a Chinese interest there. It's not a Teton Ridge deal or something like that, making like it's a movie star buying the 4.6s. But your slaughter, 358,000 through the first 3 days of the week, 6,000 more than last week, 3,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Coffeyville Stockyards. That's my friend Tylen Layton doing a good job. Got both of those barns on both sides of the Kansas-Oklahoma line. And Coffeyville Stockyards is having their spring yearling video special. It's going to be this Saturday, guys. Not a lot of cattle going around right now, and they've got 10,000, over 10,000 yearlings. A few grass calves be long time weaned, ready to turn out on grass. But all these cattle are going to be delivering between April 15th and June 1st. You don't see a lot of cattle moving this time of year, but they've got them there on that Coffeyville video special. Most of them are getting just coming to you from delivery. Most of them right in that area, Kansas, Oklahoma, and they'll be ready to go for you. Starts, it's on Saturday, April the 13th, 6 o'clock p.m. They always have it a pretty cool place. This time they're having it in Stillwater, Oklahoma. It's actually going to be at the Oklahoma State University Student Union building in room 465. But you guys can get on to DVAuction, see the videos, bid live on those cattle. Make sure you get a hold of them at Coffeyville Stockyards and get approved if you're not already approved to bid on that sale. Talk about feeder cattle markets. Your real-time index on DVAuction late in the day on Wednesday sitting at 244.36, down 156. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index is going to be 245.49. I'm going to be heading up towards the Midwest, close to my old stomping grounds here late this week. I'm going to be giving a presentation at Travis Merrick's Field Day. That's going to be on Saturday, and he's going to have you know, a lot of activities around there. Got several speakers coming in. He's going to have a handful of bulls there for sale, private treaty, but that should be a good event there. I think he's got food and everything, and that's going to be midday, and that will be south of Lockwood, Missouri, right there. Talk about your big sales on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma. 5,500 head. Feeder steers were $4 to $8 higher. Feeder heifers were steadied at $2 higher. And you think, what in the world? The board was down feeder markets, auction markets don't always listen to the board. Sometimes it's just, you know, how many cattle are there, who needs them, how bad they want them. That's the beautiful thing about, you know, full price discovery right there in a competitive auction market. On Tuesday, they sold calves steady to firm. Winter livestock in Dodge City had 1,900 feeder steers there, were mostly higher. But that's just kind of the way it was. It was a good day on our feeder markets, and earlier in the week we thought that people didn't want cattle going right into the feedlot, but we saw them sell really well on Wednesday. Your National Beef Wire stickout sale of the day was Stockmans Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. The feeder cattle sale there, about 5,500 head on offer. And then you look at your best tested weights on this automated market report. There was 271 head of 7-weight steers, average 743 at 258.72. 416 head of 8-weight steers, they averaged 826. Weighted average price 239.29. 1,211 head of 9-weight steers in Yankton, South Dakota, averaged 946 at 229.77. And not on this report, but they had about 500 head of feeder steers weighing over 1,000 pounds. They sold from 222 to 228. Pretty impressive there, guys. How about heifers? 259 head of 6-weight heifers, average 652 at 257.20. 396 head of 7-weight heifers, average 742 at 235.46. And 1,031 head of 8-weight feeder heifers there in Yankton, South Dakota, averaged 832 with a weighted average price of 221.70. Give you several individual quotes from all around. How about Sterling Livestock Commission in Sterling, Colorado? 62 steer calves weigh 516, bring 362.50. Wow. How about Bloomfield Livestock Market in Bloomfield, Iowa? The Schooley family there, they sell 68 steers, weigh to 828 at 255.10. That's respectable. A buddy Kurt Sporleader there at Creston, Iowa, he sells 50 replacement heifers. They weighed 747 and bring 296 for 750 pound heifers, guys. 296 for replacement. Both the most impressive market that I saw anywhere on Wednesday. Your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Hub City Livestock in Aberdeen, South Dakota. Long-time DVAuction broadcaster there. The Wieshauer Ranch sells 2 loads of steers, average 900 pounds at 249 a quarter. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.